Hey folks, we're gonna get started a little early because I'm a little rusty on streaming. So it looks good. If you're watching this after the fact, please check the description. I'll update it with time codes. We're a little early. We've got about 6 minutes. I think the stream looks good. So we'll just sit tight. If folks have questions, or maybe we'll just get started. No, I want to wait for people. We have a schedule. I'll wait for people, but so if folks have questions, drop them in live broadcast chat. If you're watching this after the fact, just go ahead and skip 6 minutes from now, and we'll get the preview of CircuitPython 8 actually going. I think we're live. So yeah, drop a note in the chats. Live on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you, Mr. Certainly. Thank you to Shippu for the link as well. I think I can scooch this down. Last time I streamed last week, I had some trouble getting going, so video looks good, which is good. Hi, Salman. Thank you, DJ Devin. I'm live. No worries about starting now. I know, but we have a schedule. I like to be on schedule. Any questions? Live on YouTube, thank you. Question, Mark says, are you getting more than 3 hours of sleep a night yet? For those of you who don't know, I'm a new dad, relatively new dad. I have a 4.5-month-old. And am starting my second set of paternity leave next week, starting next week. So this is kind of like my last thing, because my partner's going back to work, and so I'm going to be on full dad duty. I sound very good. Thanks, Charles. I've got the mic actually attached to me, which is good. But yeah, I'm generally getting maybe 6 hours straight, ish. I do sleep in the kiddos' room up until a point, and then my wife and I swap. But I'm getting, he's sleeping pretty well. He's sleeping pretty well. I'm very excited to spend more time with him too. How are the sprints going? Looks like there's some people working on the libraries, but I haven't seen anybody working on the core stuff. I did fix a bug myself, which is good. I can show, I'll show this early. Just a tease. I could switch to, oh, no, not that button, this button. Yeah. I tried to hit record, now the camera's upset with me. You can still see me. There was a bug where this terminal stuff didn't work on the giant screen, so I just fixed that. New Balance, a fanny pack, and knee-high socks. Yes, I don't have all those yet. Okay, there we go. I wanted to do, I did, product showcase. Yeah, and if you want to join the chat, the Discord chat is the middle one on the right there. But yeah, I just fixed this terminal stuff on this big display. And we'll get into what this is exactly in just a moment. I will start right on time, I'll tell you that. At least based on my computer clock. We could do a brief cat cam. Vin and then Spook is actually too far. He's there on the floor. Ham Slabs! Everything is going well, thank you. The kiddo's growing and growing and doing more and more every day. He's rolling from his back to his tummy now, which is cool. All right. I'm excited for CircuitPython 8. Should I actually add a... if you didn't know, Adafruit / awesome CircuitPython. And then there's art. So you can find like all the different posters and stuff in the art pack, which is just a Dropbox. So you can go to version posters and we'll go to 8 and we'll open it up. I don't want to actually full screen it. I want to just... Whoa, too full screen. If I go back and do the PDF. Open it there. That's kind of what we want. Oh, you can't see it anyway. You're looking at cats. CircuitPython 8. Ooh, learning about beekeeping. That sounds interesting. Vibing with the cat cam. Great. Okay, it's 12:30. This is gonna... I'm trying to do a fast stream, and those of you who watched my deep dive know that I do 2-hour-long streams. So that's gonna be good. Let me just turn up the brightness on this light here, since it's actually quite bright behind me. Okay, so today we're going to talk about CircuitPython 8. For those of you who are new to CircuitPython, we tend to do major releases where the leftmost number gets incremented by 1. We do that about every year and a half. And CircuitPython 8 is very exciting. This is a bit of the poster. The poster is vertical and you can't quite see it all, although I could zoom it out. But it's a collaboration. The poster is a collaboration between Espressif and Adafruit. So this is the Espressif logo with Blinka kind of as the waves, which is very cool. So one of the themes for our CircuitPython 8 is a lot more Espressif support and Wi-Fi in general. Wi-Fi stuff, which is hopefully very cool. I think is very cool. So today we have 25 minutes to go over 5 main things that I wanted to talk about for CircuitPython 8. That is certainly not everything. So if you want to see everything for CircuitPython 8, Dan just did awesome release notes. So you can go to GitHub, Adafruit, CircuitPython. This is the stable release. So we're not stable yet for CircuitPython 8, but we are in beta, meaning ideally we're not changing any of the APIs, and then we're just fixing bugs or getting close to fixing bugs. So you can hit releases here, and now you can see this is the CircuitPython 8.0 beta 0 notes. And they're awesome notes. Thank you to Dan for doing this release. I asked him to do it because I knew I was doing this stream, and it's been a while since we've had a pre-release for 8.0. So this is very exciting. So if you want to see all the details, I'm not going to cover everything today, but this has some details on that. And I also want to say that I want to preface, whenever you're switching from CircuitPython 7 to CircuitPython 8, the point of major versions is that we can potentially cause you to need to change your code or update your code. That major version number, that first one, is really like, hey, be aware that it may not work out of the box from major version to major version. So there's a heads up. Let me just go over it. I wanted to cover these because API breakages are the real reason that we do major versions. And also, you've seen probably MPY files using CircuitPython. These are a kind of pre-ish compiled version of your Python code, and that version format will also change on these major version boundaries. So let me just be aware of that when you're doing an upgrade for a major version, that sometimes for MPYs, you'll need to also update all of your MPY files as well. Between 7 and 8, I don't think that's the case, but between 8 and 9, you will definitely need to do that. And that's usually due to changes that we integrate from MicroPython. So CircuitPython, it is late to the game, is Python for your microcontrollers. I showed a screen off here just before we kind of got going. This is a screen with a little bit of a chip there that, yeah. Oh, HamsLab says, I went to the Blues Wireless presentation and they have some DFU code that works wonderfully. Yeah, I'll have to check that out later. I did not watch it myself. Okay, so things that are changing, these are the things that you have to be aware of. One wire is no longer in bus IO or bitbang IO. It's its own module now. We did that so that we'd be able to turn it off and on. Pulse out, so pulse IO, pulse out doesn't take a PWM out in anymore. It only takes a pin. This was caused by ESP32S2, does it a different way that's not necessarily PWM. So that's been changed. I2C peripheral is being renamed I2C target. In 8.0 it'll be available as both, but in 9 we would remove peripheral. And the reason we did this change is that they came out with official guidance on what the terms are, rather than master and slave, which they were originally, and we've been renaming. Auto brightness was removed. There was something else that I can't think of, but yeah, so check the release notes. If your code doesn't happen to work, release notes are really well written. They cover a lot, and they can help you get your CircuitPython 7 or earlier code running on CircuitPython 8. Of course, if you're coming from a major version like 6 or 5, you'll want to check the release notes for the next version as well for those changes. Okay, so that's the first thing. The first thing I wanted to talk about was just API changes that are coming in CircuitPython 8. Check the release notes for being more thorough than what I just did there. The next thing I wanted to cover here is the title bar status. So I'll just pull this up again. And what you can see here, and am I in product showcase mode? Yes, I was. Okay, so this is, actually, let me switch the scene. So what you can see here is we've reworked the layout of the default terminal in CircuitPython. So this is coming in CircuitPython 8. What you'll see is that there's the Blinka logo, and then this is kind of what the top line here is what we call the title bar now. And this will actually show up if you're connected over screen or TO. It will actually, the information here will also show up in your terminal, because it uses kind of old school standard codes for setting that title bar. So CircuitPython knows how to do that. You'll get kind of from left to right the most important information, we think, to the least important. So this is, for example, the execution state. So is code.py running, or is it done? And then what version are you running? The dirty is because I fixed a bug and I haven't updated it to the official version. But you'll also see things like the Wi-Fi status and the BLE status up in this top bar. And then whereas before, below Blinka, there used to be a column of emptiness, and now that's gone away because we now have this scrollable area where the regular serial output now shows. So that's the first change I wanted to do, and let me just show you a couple other examples of this before we move on. The first example I wanted to show was the clue. So the clue is a microbit light, microbit form factor board. So I'm just going to plug in the board here. And what you can see, the reason I wanted to show this here is, one, you can see that BLE status is up at the top. It says BLE reconnecting. So it's trying to reconnect to my phone. And then you can see that code.py is running as well. And so if you're running a different file, that will show there too. So that's the NRF example, giving you more information about what's happening on the BLE side. So there's that. Next up, I wanted to show, well, I like showing it on this one. So this device here is not made by Adafruit. I should say I'm sponsored by Adafruit. This is a device that came out a number of years ago called the Odroid Go. and it's an ESP32 chip module here in a like Game Boy-esque form factor, which I've been kind of obsessed with Game Boys for a while. You can find other videos about that. So I'm going to turn it on, and I'll just show you that it has the Wi-Fi status up in the bar, so you can see it's Wi-Fi off, but it should actually turn on, and now it has the IP address of this device here. So this was really the motivation for it, and this will segue nicely into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is the web workflow. The web workflow is, so CircuitPython between versions 3 and 6, we were exclusively USB based. So CircuitPy drive connecting to serial over USB. In CircuitPython 7, we introduced a way of communicating to CircuitPython over BLE, which I just gave a hint to, a nod to. The reason to do BLE was that it gave access to CircuitPython from devices that didn't have USB hosts, for like phones and tablets in particular. So we've been still continuing to work a lot on how to do CircuitPython from those devices. It's not as simple as USB because you kind of have to create apps that allow you to edit on the device. So CircuitPython 7 was USB and BLE, and then for the workflow. And then CircuitPython 8 introduces a Wi-Fi, at least for ESPs currently, a Wi-Fi workflow. And generally a workflow is kind of two pieces. It's how do you edit files, and then also how do you see the serial output. So yeah, Toddbot says these are totally unavailable now. Yeah, I picked it up ages ago. I had to like dust it off and stuff, which is a bummer, but it shows off kind of something that I guess I'll do kind of in tandem with this, which is we also have ESP32 support. So talking about, we in 7, we supported ESP32S2, which was the first chip from Espressif that had native USB. So we could still do the CircuitPy drive style workflow. And then we added, once we had more and more of these S2 chips, we also had an S3 chip. It became clear that having a lot of these devices connected to Wi-Fi would be nice to edit kind of over the air. So Jeff deserves credit, I think, for talking about MDNS, which is a technology where local devices can give themselves names that you can look up in your browser. So MDNS was really the thing that was like, oh, I understand how we would do a CircuitPython workflow at this point. So I'm going to leave this on. It's going to be on my desk, and I want to show it off. So ESP32s, we didn't support for the longest time, but because we now have a Wi-Fi workflow, so the two things I'm talking about are this web workflow and then also new support for the ESP32. And the Odroid Go is a perfect example of like a board I bought a long time ago that had an ESP32 that now CircuitPython can run on, because the ESP32 does not have native USB, and so it couldn't do the CircuitPy drive, which is why we haven't supported it until CircuitPython 8. Okay, so let me do a quick demo. So in theory, if everything is working, what you can do is oh, I should start with, so it's a little tricky to get started because you need to do, you need to set your Wi-Fi password, network name, and a password for your, to prevent people from changing code on your device. Carter just hammered out this quick start guide, which I will link in the chats and also in the description. But it gets you to the point where the device will connect to your network, like I showed earlier with Odroid Go, and also set up your examples so that the web workflow turns on by default. So I've already done that in this case. I won't show that now, but this is a good guide for how to do that. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to do circuitpython.local. So this uses MDNS, which is a technology to say, hey, has anybody called CircuitPython? And all of the CircuitPython devices on my network will reply, oh yeah, that's me. So we can see here that we it redirected us. So the web server redirects circuitpython.local to its custom name for the particular device. So I have two devices on here. I have the Odroid Go I showed, but I also have an ESP USB S3 USB dev board as well. So you can see here that the Odroid Go is the first to respond. So that's what we're talking to currently. And then we also, the devices can discover each other. So the device that you get to with circuitpython.local can then tell you the names of the other devices. So I can click this, and now I'm connected to both of my CircuitPython devices. Oh, thank you, Foamy Guy. I may want the screen. Thank you. I'm really glad we have a live chat. Okay, so this guide, I didn't show release notes either, did I? So release notes are here, Adafruit CircuitPython releases, and then this learn guide as well is the place to go for how to get bootstrapped and get going on this Wi-Fi workflow stuff. So I've typed in circuitpython.local, and then it redirected me to this particular domain. So this is like a unique identifier for the given device. And then I clicked the list here of devices on my network to open a second tab for the other device that's on my network. And you can see version numbers. You can see that the Odroid Go is using a slightly older version. So I'm going to want to use the demo that actually has 8.0. You didn't see the release notes either. I'm sorry. With my deep dive stream, we talked about having it so that like the chat could control what screen I'm showing. Just because it's not the first time I've done that. So thanks for bearing with me. Let's keep going because we have 10 more minutes, and I do at least want to note. So we talked about API breakages. I have a list. That's what I'm looking at. The other thing I wanted to give a shout out to is the ESP camera support, but I don't actually have a demo for that, so we've got time. So there's two pieces to a workflow in my mind. One is browsing files. So to do that, you would click the file browser, and this is the password you set in your .env file. And this is to do, like, raise the bar a little bit so that other people can't interact with your device without your permission. Do note this is not secure because this password gets transmitted insecurely on the network. So beware of that. Do not use a password you use anywhere else. I think I remember which one this device has. And I say that and then it's wrong. You leave the username blank. There we go. I typed it right. Mikhail asks, do ESP32s support wired Ethernet with CircuitPython 8? They do not. Not that I know of. We haven't tested that at all. And then Mr. Giacomo Mola. There's an issue with the ESP32 S3 with I2C. Will that be fixed in V8? It's not fixed in beta 0, but I believe there's an open issue. So we'll hopefully fix it before release. If you want to check out what we have, what we would like to fix before CircuitPython 8 is stable, you can go to github.com/adafruit/circuitpython/issues, hit milestones and 8.0, and you'll see that we have 32 open issues still. So that's why it's a beta. That's why it's not stable. But also, this is a great way to track kind of the things that we're aware of. And ideally, we would get this milestone down to 0 before we do it stable. But sometimes we'll shuffle issues out as well. But I think there's an open issue here that we hope to fix before it's stable. Some of these bugs are tricky because we depend on Espresso's code, and Espresso's code may be broken, and so we have to collaborate with them on getting it fixed. Okay, so let's keep going. So here's the file browser. I don't actually know what's on here. I do mostly testing. So for example, let me say I want to, well, upload something. Okay, you can see this. So I'm just going to pick a folder from a bundle. And I'm not going to pick a whole one. But say we want to upload the bitmap fonts, which is not on there. So I clicked the middle choose files, which is for picking a directory. So I'm selecting the Adafruit bitmap font, and I'm going to upload, and it will confirm, are you sure you want to upload all 6 files? And you hit yes. And now it makes the directory, and there's a little progress bar here as it uploads each file. Now this is not like how much of an individual file is uploaded, but rather just out of the 6 files, how many are uploaded. If you want to upload an individual file, you can select this, and let's just upload BDF, and now we have a BDF pie as well. If you want to view a file, you just click it and it pulls it up, which is pretty neat. If it's an HTML page, it will actually render. So this could be a really cool way to do some basic web hosting without having to do CircuitPython code explicitly for it. So Adafruit bitmap font has been uploaded, and I can just delete that whole library, and that updates as well. And let me see. So let's go back up a step. And actually, let's go all the way back. We're running out of time. So that's the file piece. The other piece is the serial. So you can hit serial terminal. And now we can do the REPL. And this is all, everything I've shown so far will work even if you don't have internet. This is all able to run offline. However, a secret thing that I mean to add a link to here that I haven't yet, hot off the press, you can go to the URL/code, and that will open the full code.circuitpython experience.org experience on the board itself. So what it's doing is it's taking a little HTML page, downloading a bunch of JavaScript, and updating it to do everything. So we can see, hello YouTube viewers. And it's not, I think it's a little broken, but it still should work. So you can see here it says, hello YouTube viewers. So it automatically switched when we hit save and run from the code editor to the serial link. And you can see that it also has the title bar stuff is parsed as well. So this is kind of the full CircuitPython editing experience when you have network. Everything I showed before this is just in this like offline mode that's like super basic, but meant to be accessible even if you don't have internet. And hopefully that works okay on mobile as well. So it's pretty neat. That is the web workflow in a nutshell, and one of the larger pieces of the CircuitPython 8 release. Yeah, we can leave that. What else do we have to show? We have 3 minutes. I just wanted to give a shout out in the last 3 minutes. We had generic camera support in CircuitPython 7 that Jeff added. And in CircuitPython 8, Jeff has added more ESP-specific camera support. So there's this C library called ESP32 camera. And in CircuitPython 8, we have a specific module for that library, which gains us a lot of camera support for relatively simple coding on our end because we're using that library on ESP chips only. So check that out if you're into camera stuff. You may have seen in the issues list that there's a ESP32i board that is now supported as well. So because we have web workflow, we have ESP32 camera support. We also support ESP32 chips, which is a big deal because there's a lot of boards that have been designed with ESP32, and that this web workflow will just work with, hopefully. and you'll be able to auto-discover them through the MDNS lookup here. Like the Odroid Go that we're seeing here is just on battery, not connected to anything. And I think that's it. There's a lot more in CircuitPython 8. Thank you again to Dan for doing the release. If you want it to be more thorough, if you want more thorough information, you can go to github.com/adafruit/circuitpython/releases. If you want to try it out, we did just do the release yesterday, so you can do circuitpython.org/downloads. And that will give you a link to all of the boards that are supported by CircuitPython, and the stable release, which is 7.3.2, and the latest 8.0 beta 0, or newer if you're watching this after the fact. So please give it a try. Go to Adafruit, github.com/adafruit/circuitpython. Generally, circuitpython.org is a great place to check out the current state of CircuitPython. If you want to chat with me, a core developer, or other core developers and other CircuitPythonistas, you can go to the URL adafru.it/discord. Join us there, chat about CircuitPython. If you want to support me and a number of others who are paid to work on CircuitPython full-time, please go to adafruit.com and purchase hardware there. The ESP32 boards will hopefully be more and more supported in the coming days and weeks as well. So with that, I'll say thank you to everyone for hanging out for this quick look at CircuitPython 8. Personal note, I'm taking 12 weeks off starting next Monday, so I will see you all in 12 weeks in November, and enjoy CircuitPython 8 and the web workflow. Hopefully I didn't leave too many bugs. I'll see you all next time. Have a great rest of CircuitPython day. Oh, and I should do a little cat cam, because it's tradition. Pet spook. Hi, kitty, kitty. Gotta end with cat pets. That's how we do it. Oh, chin scratch. He's my coworker. All right, see y'all.